Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for a Thursday edition of the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini. Going to be a very quick episode of SCSR here today, as we are now under 2 hours away from kickoff of the Steelers' final preseason game of 2025. After tonight, we will see the Steelers in full operation September 7th at MetLife Stadium against the New York Jets. We will then get to see Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf for the first time in full Steelers uniform. We will also see TJ Watt and Cam Hayward back out there on the field. So we wait until then. But tonight, not really going to expect much from this game. To kick off the show here in a couple of minutes, we will talk about who to watch tonight, who could possibly play. If you did not pick up on what I was saying just a couple of seconds ago, Rodgers, Metcalf, Watt, Hayward, those the only four players who are concretely ruled out of tonight's ball game. But we will talk about who we could possibly see and what all to look for here tonight in the final preseason game. Also, relating to the Steelers, we will talk about the wide receiver market and how trades and movement in that market has heated up in the past 24 hours without the Steelers involved. Pretty crazy that the Steelers have not made a wide receiver to move, or at least a move to, patchwork that position, as of right now. But hey, still a little bit left to go here. I think the Steelers, they are just going to read and wait to see who gets cut from other teams, and then they'll make a decision from there. But we will cover all the movement that has gone on in the wide receiver market within the past day or so. And then we will wrap up the show talking about any and all extra Pittsburgh sports news stories from the day, including a report from Jason Mackey and Matt Venzel of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette saying that the Penguins will indeed most likely be sold. Who they will be sold to, we will discuss along with many other topics at the end of the show. First thing is first, if you are new here to the channel, please subscribe and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again. Also, feel free to leave a like, share this live stream, and comment in the comment section any thoughts, questions, or opinions that you may have. Also, would appreciate it if you gave the channel follow on the following social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, and X. And be sure to come back later tonight. Hopefully, I'll have it out before kickoff of Steelers Panthers, a Thursday edition of SCSR 60. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to buzz through everything fairly quickly here this evening. And we are going to start, like I just said, talking about what all will happen tonight in this preseason finale between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Carolina Panthers. And what should we expect? Really, not all that much. Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, they will all sit out. Everyone else who is healthy is, expected to prepare to play, according to head coach Mike Tomlin a couple of days ago. But let's be honest, are we really going to expect that many characters that we haven't seen yet this preseason to play here tonight? A whole list right here from Steelers Depot. List of Steelers players that enter into tonight's game that have yet to play a preseason snap. Rodgers, Metcalf, Watt, and Hayward, of course. Those four will not change. Calvin Austin III has been dealing with an oblique injury, and he's been a very light worker if he's, been practicing at all over the past handful of weeks now. Tight end Pat Freiermuth, I guess you could see him out there tonight, maybe just to get his feet wet, with Mason Rudolph throwing him the ball. But I won't be shocked if he plays. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't play. So Freiermuth, he's pretty up in the air for me. Jonnu Smith, tight end, we haven't seen or heard really anything from him for the past couple of weeks now. He was dealing with an injury as well, and I'm going to be honest, I really have not seen an update on him in quite a while. I think the last thing I heard of Jonnu Smith was Mike Tomlin saying we hope to get him and Cal back sooner rather than later. We at least know that Cal is out there and moving on the practice field, but Jonnu Smith, I don't know. I doubt you see him tonight. Speaking of not seeing tonight, even though he was not mentioned by Tomlin on Monday, I guarantee you Alex Highsmith you will not see tonight, still coming back from a groin injury. Same thing, and this guy's not on this list of, players who haven't played a preseason game uh, or a preseason snap so far this year. I think you won't see Nick Herbig tonight either. Only played 3 snaps against their lone home preseason game against the Buccaneers last weekend. Got pulled with a hamstring injury. Don't expect to see him. Guard Isaac Seumalo. I just like Freiermuth. I do not know if you will see him tonight. I wouldn't be shocked if he does or does not play. I want to keep him healthy. He's the veteran, sort of like the lone veteran figure on that very young Steelers offensive line. But also, you got to wonder if you want to get him out there to just get a little bit of more of in-game chemistry to some extent with Broderick Jones at left tackle. I don't know. Linebacker Patrick Queen, he could play tonight. He could be one of those go out there for a series, get your feet wet, get back in the flow of being the signal caller out there, and then go put on, a sweatshirt for the rest of the night. Deshaun Elliott, maybe he could play tonight too, but I do not know. Kind of like Patrick Queen, now that Minkah Fitzpatrick is gone, I think you're going to look to him as a guy who was here last year to be one of the more key vocal leaders on the back end of the defense. He might play tonight or might not. Who knows? Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, Joey Porter Jr., that trio of corners we have not seen at all this preseason. If I had to pick one guy out of that group of 3 who would play tonight, it would probably be Joey Porter Jr. Maybe just get out there, get a couple of man-on-man reps against whoever the Panthers are throwing out there at wide receiver and see if you can work on your, holding penalties and whatnot. Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay, though, I'm intrigued to see if they play. I would kind of like, who did I say up there? Jonnu Smith and, Isaac Seumalo, like to see them out there, get back in the flow, and like to see Ramsey and Slay work for the first time with these other DBs on the Steelers defense. But Ramsey, 30, about to be 31 years old. Darius Slay, he's 34. Do you really want to put those guys out there in a meaningless third preseason game against future bartenders and sale insurance men of America? I do not know. I probably would just put them in plastic wrap like Rodgers and Metcalf and Watt and Hayward, but we'll see there. Rounding out the list here, these guys really dealing with injury. Tackle Calvin Anderson. He has not played a preseason snap. This preseason was, heading into training camp slotted to be the main backup tackle at really either position, left or right. But he's been dealing with injury. I doubt you see him tonight. Doesn't look like I haven't heard anything from him if he's going to be able to go. Center, Ryan McCollum, backup center. I do think you see him tonight. He did get back out there on the practice field earlier this week, and I would like to maybe get him out there, get some work in just in case, God forbid, Zach Frazier goes down. You don't want to put him in cold. Also, we've kind of seen, some other centers get some work in this preseason, and you've seen some high snaps, some real inconsistencies in the center quarterback exchange. Really, I would like to get Ryan McCollum out there to sort of ease our tension of, all right, we got Frazier and nothing. No, we do have Ryan McCollum. It's just a matter of seeing that he's healthy. Last 3 here, quarterback Will Howard, rookie out of Ohio State. This really sucks because he was supposed to be how Kyle Trask is. Or not, why did I say Kyle Trask? He is supposed to be what Skylar Thompson has been this preseason. A guy who comes in out after, Mason Rudolph does his 2 or 3 series and he plays the majority of the game. Fortunately, that pinky injury, he hasn't even thrown, let alone, get out there and practice. So I think you can put in stone he will not play tonight. And honestly, he, just like the next guy I'm about to mention, Corey Trice, those two guys haven't practiced in a long time, and they haven't even, done, except maybe Trice a little bit. They haven't really done any sort of, side work. You're probably looking at those guys as maybe your two fill-ins for the short-term IR, where they sit out 4 to 6 weeks to begin the regular season, and then they can come back midway through the year. So I don't expect to see Will Howard or Corey Trice. And the same thing goes for the final guy on this list, Dante Kent, 7th-round draft pick out of Central Michigan. Really was supposed to be maybe a solid contributor to the special teams cause, and show off his speed in this preseason, but got put in a walking boot back in Latrobe, and haven't really heard from him since then. He'll probably be put, either on season-ending IR or just outright get released. I don't know how much the Steelers like him. Maybe I'm not sure. Can you put someone on the practice squad with an injury designation? I don't know, but so just going through the list. Rodgers, if I had to predict, will these guys play tonight? I'm going to stop saying I don't know here. I'm just going to go yes or no down the list here. Rodgers, Metcalf, Hayward, Watt, we already know, no. Austin, no. Freiermuth, yes. Jonnu Smith, no. Jalen Warren here, who I did not mention. My bad. Yes, maybe. I'd say Jalen Warren. Yes, you will see him. Alex Highsmith, no. Isaac Seumalo, no. Patrick Queen, yes. Deshaun Elliott, yes. Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, no. Joey Porter Jr., yes. Calvin Anderson, no. Ryan McCullum, yes. And then Howard, Trice, Kent, no to those three as well. So we might see a tiny bit more starters out there, at least get them in for a series and then get them out. But I think you're just going to look at, battles all through the night of guys trying to fight for either practice squad spots, being the 52nd or 53rd man on the opening day roster, or they're fighting for, maybe opportunities elsewhere in the league. That now brings me to some guys that I want to see here tonight. Guys to watch tonight for me, just going to hit these out real quick. Jalen Ramsey, if he plays, I want to see him out there. Again, I just said no, he probably most likely doesn't play tonight. But if he does get out there, I want to see if this whole title that's been stamped to him of this guy is going to be one of the most critical members of this Steelers defense, probably even more so than TJ Watt. I want to see if that's true. If he gets out there, does he get tested at all? Maybe gets a PBU. I want to see him out there moving, seeing if he hasn't lost a step from what we've seen from him in years past here in the league. One corner to another here. Second guy I'm looking forward to watching tonight, Beanie Bishop. And he has been a guy to watch all preseason long because he has had a roller coaster of a NFL career thus far. Undrafted free agent out of West Virginia last year. Meddles around on the Steelers practice squad a little bit. Sometimes was inactive on game days. Comes in, plays some slot midway through the year. Got a couple of interceptions. Really the ball fell into his hands for a few of those. Then got replaced again by Cam Sutton. Now he comes into camp this year after adding Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, Brandon Echols, Juan Thornhill at safety, a whole bunch of other guys. Really, he has been the odd man out, and it's been that way for a while. Now, 2 good showings in both of the preseason games. It's hard for me because I'm trying to think of how the Steelers will format this 53-man roster. Are they going to dedicate 9 or 10 spots to DBs? 3 of those spots are going to be taken by the top trio, just strictly corners here. You got your top 3 corners. You got James Pierre and Brandon Echols. That's 5. And depends if the Steelers, if they want to take 9 or 10 DBs, because if you have those 5 corners, your 4 safeties are easy. You're going to have Miles Killebrew as your special teams captain. Then you got Thornhill, Elliott, and I think Chuck Clark. I think he's, played his way onto the team quite easily. So we'll see if the final roster for the Steelers does have 10 defensive backs. I think Corey Trice starts on IR. If he doesn't, he'll take that 10th spot. If he does start on IR, then a solid, maybe Beanie Bishop needs to get his hand on a football or two tonight. Maybe he can slither his way back onto the 10th spot in that DB room, but we'll see. So Beanie Bishop, he is a guy that I am going to watch intently tonight. Another guy I'm going to watch intently just because I want to see, all right, once is good, twice is solid, 3 times is a pattern. I want to see another lights out performance tonight from Roman Wilson. I think I was listening to 93.7 The Fan today. They were playing a over-under game on, totals for the game. Roman Wilson, over or under 15 yards receiving tonight. I'm going to hit the over on that. I mean, hell, he could cover that total twice over, maybe even 3 times over for what he had on Saturday against the Buccaneers. So I want to see tonight if he indeed is getting open, and if it is real as you can get in preseason, what we are seeing from him. He did well against some starting corners for the Jags. He did well against some starting corners and DBs for the Buccaneers. Who the hell knows who the Panthers are going to play tonight, but if they're scrubs, I expect not only to see Roman Wilson have a big night, but I want to see him get into the end zone for 6 as well. A couple other names I'm looking forward to watching in tonight's Steelers game. The punter battle. It's been a consistent viewpoint for Steelers fans all preseason long. Cortlis Waitman and Cameron Johnston both have been outstanding. I think it might come, to who blinks tonight. It might come down to this game, who is going to be the Steelers punter for this upcoming season. Will it be Johnston, the veteran who the Steelers paid decent punter money to last offseason, coming back and reclaiming his spot after, a serious injury? Or will Waitman, who took over for Johnston after week 1 last year, will Waitman continue to impress and exceed expectations that we had from a guy that they literally brought in off the streets last year? So we will see. 4 other names that I'm looking forward to tonight. Just going to hit these real quick. Skylar Thompson, really liked his preseason game 1. I don't really know what to make of his preseason game 2. He was kind of okay, but, really, did he flash like he did in game 1? No. He could be playing tonight. I think already from his preseason performance up to this point, unless he completely bombs tonight, he might get a shot and an opportunity, maybe latch on to some other team's practice squad. If not, maybe the Steelers practice squad. But if Will Howard's pinky injury is more serious than what we think up to this point, and he does become one of those IR to begin the season candidates, Thompson, he lights it up here. Steelers might say, hey, instead of, putting Will Howard here, hoping he comes back from the pinky sooner rather than later, why not just put the Rook on the shelf and let's keep this guy who did quite all right in the preseason for us. And the last few names here, Lou Nichols, 4th, 5th string running back, really impressed on tape from Saturday's game. Can he repeat that performance tonight and become that 4th running back that you hide away on your practice squad just in case an injury pops up in the regular season? Maybe. So looking to see how he does on the ground. And then the final 2 names here, besides the punter battle, I want to say that this might be, the second most notable positional battle. And it's really not even, on a lot of people's radars. who's going to be that fourth, maybe even fifth inside linebacker for the Steelers this year. I mean, you got four right now that I think will make the team. Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, Malik Harrison, and Cole Holcomb. If they do take five linebackers, one guy to play special teams, who's it going to be? Mark Robinson or Carson Bruner? Now, Robinson out there on defense has been fairly solid this preseason. He's a downhill thumper stopping the run game. Heat-seeking missile with a broken guidance chip. But then you got Bruner, the 7th-round draft pick from this year, son of a former Steeler, and he's been out there getting a lot of special teams reps, and he's been doing quite all right holding his own. So I think those two are pushing each other, maybe even competing to make the final roster cut as that linebacker 5, who's going to be one of Danny Smith's core special teamers. But until then, we will see what all goes on here tonight. Kickoff roughly an hour and a half away, but those are some Steelers I'm looking forward to tonight. Would not be surprised if a few more starters get in there. Would not be surprised if all of them sit out again, but we will wait and see. We did recently, just before I went live, we have a look here. Even though he will not be playing tonight, Aaron Rodgers out there throwing with DK Metcalf. So this from Bob Pompiani, Metcalf and Rodgers getting in sync out there on the field. Maybe we will, I don't know, maybe this will be all we get until September 7th. Wonder if there will be any other videos of this posted out there, but I just hope that the Steelers are doing the right thing, sitting those two especially out. I know they've developed at least a half-decent chemistry in training camp, but, doing this pregame in an empty stadium, it's different than doing it, especially week 1, where it will be a super hostile environment for Aaron Rodgers. 8 of you in here right now. Welcome to the live stream. If you are new here, please subscribe and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I'm live again. Also, if you would please leave a like, share this live stream, and comment in the comment section any thoughts, questions, or opinions that you may have. Talking some Steelers pregame a little bit right here, seeing, talking about what to expect later tonight and what to expect maybe in the next week or so. On this channel especially, we have been discussing what the Steelers might do at wide receiver. They had Gabe Davis in the building. He left for a second time, went up to Buffalo. No deal signed there as well. And we are still left here in a bewilderment of what are they going to do? It's been too long now, it feels like, where we haven't had a solution to the wide receiver 2 problem. And what even makes us more antsy is that last night we had a ton of movement on the receiver market. So just recapping what has gone on in the past 24 hours. Last night we talked about it. The Steelers, they're looking for wide receiver help. I guess the Buffalo Bills are as well, looking at Gabe Davis. There's also teams like the San Francisco 49ers who have been looking for wide receiver help, and the Minnesota Vikings. And maybe this has spurred some movement already in the wide receiver market, as last night the Kansas City Chiefs, they traded wide receiver Sky Moore to the San Francisco 49ers. So a matchup of the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Moore now heads to the 49ers, where they are right now down Brandon Ayuk, Jawan Jennings, Jordan Watkins, and Demarcus Robinson. So Sky Moore really wouldn't have been a needle mover if he came here to Pittsburgh. I don't really, couldn't really care less for that acquisition. Another one, minor wide receiver trade from last night, Devon Vele, who I think had a pretty decent year with the Denver Broncos last year. He is going down to New Orleans in exchange for a 4th and 7th round pick. I might have taken a flyer on him, but again, not a needle mover. But these two trades that happened last night, I wonder, is it going to spark some more action here where a trade does get made sooner rather than later, or a signing by the Steelers? Other teams are starting to pick up wide receivers, and Steelers, they're going to need to act quickly to solve this problem. There's been a reported trade offer that was floated out there regarding Terry McLaurin recently. I still think he is now, even more than a couple months ago, a long shot of becoming a Steeler. There reportedly was an offer made by the Commanders that would send McLaurin to the Steelers, but in return, the Steelers would have to send a 2nd round pick and Pat Freiermuth. I think that's a non-conversation starter right there. So that pretty much leaves the Steelers left to scouring the free agent and roster cut market here within the next week. Another option that may or may not have been available to the Steelers, Jalen Polk, wide receiver for the Patriots, I believe was 2nd round pick from last year. He was reportedly on the fence of getting cut, and now he has been ruled out for the entire season with a shoulder injury. So, the wide receiver market, it's starting to move, and the Steelers, they're going to need to move quickly. Just, does someone get cut from one of these wide receiver loaded teams like the Packers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Probably not them anymore because Jalen McMillan got knocked out for a little while. Trying to think who else here. The Houston Texans, they're one as well. But just on the free agent market, I think right now that Gabe Davis has walked out of the building a second time, and you got to think, probably for good. I honestly just say, screw it. There's been absolutely zero smoke, let alone fire, for the Steelers connected to this player. Go out, get Amari Cooper. Just get it over with. Veteran wide receiver who I still think has 1, maybe 2 years of good football left in him. He's sort of that in-between route running specialist that you kind of need on the Steelers team right now. You got Metcalf, the big bruising downfield physical threat, and then you got a bunch of little guys, Calvin Austin, Roman Wilson, Scotty Miller. They need help, and Amari Cooper will be the guy that I will go out and get. So we'll see what becomes of it here. The wide receivers, they are starting to move. We will see what all happens here when rosters become finalized after this weekend. One more trade, actually, not a wide receiver, but it will relate to the Steelers at least a little bit here. The Minnesota Vikings last night traded defensive tackle Harrison Phillips to the New York Jets. So the Steelers' week 1 opponent building their trenches just a little bit. Now, Zach Frazier, Isaac Seumalo, Mason McCormick, they will not only need to deal with Quinnen Williams on that front for the Vikings, but also Harrison Phillips now, who's been a decently reputable defensive tackle in the NFL. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we move into the more Pittsburgh news segment of the program here, wrapping up all the news from today in quick timing, going to take a quick stroll here through Twitter, see if we have anything new here to report ahead of tonight's Steelers-Panthers game. Boy, you know that they are grasping for straws in the preseason when even the NFL page on X is posting Rodgers and Metcalf's pregame. Would be okay if they played tonight, but I don't necessarily, care anymore. It would have been fun to watch them, but it is the right move to sit them out. See if we have anything else here. Just seeing a bunch of photos about Rodgers and Metcalf. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news here for the day, and we are going to go to the hockey world here for a hot moment as the news and the rumors about the Pittsburgh Penguins being up for sale has taken another sharp turn within the past couple of days. Really, I'm just trying to remember the timeline here. Fenway Sports Group, 2021, they buy the Penguins. The Penguins have been downhill since then. Last year, it was reported that FSG was looking to sell a minority stake in the team and take it to market. Nothing really came of that. Then, earlier this year, Mario Lemieux, Ron Burkle, and David Morehouse, that trio that previously owned the Penguins, they are looking to get back into possibly buying the Pens. And we haven't heard and not too much of that within the past couple of months. But as of a couple days ago, the Hoffman family of companies, they entered the picture as a possible group to buy the Penguins. And now, after just, a couple days now of them, being on the record here, looking into possibly buying the Penguins, they are now viewed as heavy favorites and the group that most likely will get this deal across the finish line. Jason Mackey and Matt Venzel of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette came out today with a article that said, talking with former employees to FSG, people involved with the Penguins, current people from the NHL and the Hoffman family. It is a right here, a when, not if scenario when it comes to the Hoffman family buying the Penguins. Once again, a little bit of a background on this group. They were created by David Hoffman. Now he has two sons that are co-CEOs of the company. They own a whole bunch of different things, not just sports. They have their hands tied in, I think, around 200 other companies that they have their, fingerprints on. And they are hockey people. So that's the, bright side of this. They are hockey people. They bought the Florida Everblades in the ECHL back in 2022. And in the first 3 years of their ownership, they won 3 straight championships. And then I think lost in the finals the year after that. So they are hockey people. They do at least, stay involved with that. And they have experience in, knowing what it takes to win, even though it's at a minor level. This is a big step up for them owning an NHL team. But there is momentum and optimism regarding a sale to Hoffman. So crazy that this has gone pretty much from 0 to 60. The Hoffman family in on the Pens. I think the Lemieux, Burkle, Morehouse group, they are still in on the Pens as well. But do they have the money to, get back in and buy the Pens again? Who knows? If they really wanted to, I'm sure they could, scrounge up that money. But this Hoffman family, I think they are the heavy favorites because FSG, being the nameless gray face corporate shill, ownership group that we suspected them of being back in 2022, and they turned out being exactly like that throughout a majority of their tenureship up to this point. They're going to sell the team to the highest bidder, and also according to this report here from Mackey and Venzel, the Hoffman family, they will or are expected to honor that $1.75 billion selling price, meet that mark as put out there by Forbes right now. So we'll see what comes of this here in the not too distant future. The Hoffman family, a serious bidder for the hockey team. They are now going to go from Chicago to Florida. maybe even back up north here to Pittsburgh. And it is not an if, but a when situation on if they will, on them buying the Penguins. So maybe it happens before the season start. Maybe it doesn't. We'll see what comes of it. Sticking with hockey, just another small story here. Congratulations to Sidney Crosby. I say it on this channel here all the time, and I'm sure tons of other Penguins fans will say it with me. Sidney Crosby, when it comes to certain aspects of hockey, he can still be in the conversation for best center in the NHL. And that was exactly the case, at least according to the NHL Network last night, coming out with their top 20 centers in hockey right now. Sidney Crosby still top 5 at his position, coming in at number 5, only behind Connor McDavid, Nathan MacKinnon, Leon Draisaitl, and Alexander Barkov. McDavid, yes, he's just in skill. We're not going off of record or, career progress up to this point. McDavid, skill-wise, at this point, sit on the downs on the wrong side of his career. McDavid still in his prime is better. Nathan MacKinnon, he's basically cloned by Sidney Crosby in some ways. No surprise they put him above Sid. Leon Draisaitl, I guess you count him as a center. You could have put him at wing as well, seeing how he and McDavid are on the same line sometimes. And then I think just because of, recency bias and because they play a similar two-way style, Alexander Barkov coming off of winning Stanley Cups. No surprise that he is above Sid right now. Some other centers in this top 20, Sidney Crosby coming ahead of Jack Eichel, Austin Matthews, Braden Point, Mark Scheifele, Nick Suzuki, Robert Thomas, Sebastian Aho, Nico Hischier, Dylan Larkin, Tim Stützle, Rope Hintz, Jack Hughes, Tage Thompson, Macklin Celebrini, and Sam Bennett. So Crosby still better than those guys I just named altogether in that top 20. Crazy. 12 Stanley Cups, 5 Conn Smythes, 10 Ted Liddsey Awards, 8 Harts, 8 Art Rosses, 7 Rocket Richards, and 3 Selke trophies. Of course, Sid making up for 3 of those cups and a handful of those other awards mentioned there. So congratulations to Sid, still top 5. And honestly, he could remain there if he wants to for another 5 years. He is just that good. He could be the Tom Brady of hockey, a player the likes of, both star power, production, and age. We could see him, play into his 40s if he really wanted to. Couple of extra Pittsburgh Pirates stories before logging off here tonight. Real quick, let's go to the comment section. We do have a comment here real quick. Do you think Aaron Rodgers or Metcalf play at all tonight? Mark, no. They have already been ruled out. That was on Tuesday. Head coach Mike Tomlin saying that Rodgers, Metcalf, and on defense, TJ Watt and Cam Hayward, those 4 definitively will not play, will not appear tonight, and they will have gone this entire preseason without playing a preseason game snap. So they, like we suspected back when training camp began, putting bubble wrap. We'll see you week 1, September 7th at MetLife Stadium against the Jets. So no Rodgers, Metcalf tonight. Might see a couple of other starters. Who knows? Jalen Ramsey, maybe Pat Freiermuth, Jalen Warren, Darius Slay, Deshaun Elliott. Might see, guys of that kind, but I'm still not holding my breath of seeing, every single person, every single player except for those 4 play. I think you will see quite a lot more get rolled out tonight. Maybe we get those names here before we log off for the evening. Continuing here with some extra Pittsburgh Pirates news here today. Not much to talk about from them. They just came off of a series win against the Toronto Blue Jays. They are off tonight. We'll be back in action tomorrow night. Weekend series coming up against the Colorado Rockies. Joining the team, we covered this yesterday, will be top prospect Bubba Chandler. Got called up to the big leagues yesterday. We now know the move, the roster move that will make a spot for him on the roster. Right-handed pitcher, reliever Chase Shugart has been sent down to AAA. Going to be quite honest with you, Shugart going down, it's not the biggest loss in the world, but are we seriously keeping, Colin Holderman up here? I think, even though he's appeared in one or two games since getting called back up to the big leagues, I think he's proven definitively that whatever mojo he had once upon a time, it is gone, and it is gone for good. So, Chase Shugart going down for Bubba Chandler to come up. By the way, Chandler, apparently a big, at least once upon a time, big fast food guy. Alex Stumpf, who covers the Bucks for MLB.com and the Baseball Writers Association of America, Chandler, a former two-sport athlete, could have gone to Clemson to play football. Tells you how good of an athlete he is. He had to put on 20 pounds when he was in high school. So he ate 7,000 to 8,000 calories a day and would have sometimes 10 peanut butter jelly sandwiches, 4 protein shakes, and 6 Big Macs or Whoppers. Man, that's kind of crazy. Speaking of, prospects, one guy who, really hasn't been brought up a ton, this season, we've talked about some of the Bucks prospects who have rose up their rankings. Griffin, Chandler, Edward Florentino, Esmeralyn Valdez. This guy, Tony Blanco, down in low A with the Bradenton Marauders, he has 6 home runs in 18 games. On the season, he's hitting over 300 and has damn near a 1,000 OPS. So that's kind of crazy. I just wanted to bring that up. We occasionally talk about Bucko prospects on here. At least keep in mind the name Tony Blanco Jr. Maybe, certainly not next year, even 2 years from now, but maybe down the line, if this team somehow, some way gets back to contention, this Blanco, big, powerful young man hitting bombs down there in Bradenton. And then to wrap up the show here, ladies and gentlemen, just going to hit on a few extra Pittsburgh Steelers news and notes that are unrelated to tonight's ball game. Talking about one of the Steelers' top division rivals, the Baltimore Ravens. Recently, their quarterback, Lamar Jackson, left practice with, I guess they said he got his foot stepped on, and other reports were saying he was shaking his right wrist. No harm, no foul there at all. John Harbaugh said prayers do get answered. Kind of weird that he said that, when the injury was officially acknowledged by the Ravens, it was said it was not serious, pretty much immediately. That right there, that quote from Harbaugh tells me that he was, holding his breath more than what you would expect from a, nothing injury. So that's kind of crazy. He got a X-ray, Jackson did, and appears to be all good. 2 other Steelers news stories here. A new AstroTurf mini field has been installed outside Acrisure Stadium. It is down in between the river and the steps to Acrisure. I think this is something they are putting in for the draft next year, which will be across the river at Point Park, excuse me. Also, this mini field, they have the yellow end zones. If only the Steelers could do that, but my Pitt Panthers have to take over the stadium every now and again. They should really just build their own field. Last story here for today. Condolences to the Rooney family. Matthew Rooney, who is the grandson of the Chief, Art Rooney, passed away, I think, yesterday at the age of 51. Do not believe that Matthew Rooney here had any sort of deep ties or affiliations, in running or being involved with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he is the grandson of Art Rooney, and we will send our condolences to Art Rooney II, current Steelers owner, and the entire Rooney family in their time of grieving. So thoughts and prayers to them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that will wrap it up here today. Going to go now and probably record SCSR 60, maybe get that out before or just as opening kickoff commences here for tonight's Steelers-Panthers game. We do have a photo out there now of Jalen Ramsey walking out there on the field pre-game. Looks like he is in warm-up gear and has the headphones on. Wonder if he'll get in there or not. Who knows? But we will see. And we will be back here tomorrow to break it all down per usual. So for one final time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in here this evening. One last time, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Trying to get to 500 subscribers here on the channel as quickly as possible. Also, turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again. Like this live stream, share this live stream, leave a comment on the live stream after the fact. Also, one last time, be sure to go give me a follow on the following social media platforms as well. Facebook, Instagram, and X, and come back a little bit later on, whether it's before, if I get it out in time, or after the Steelers game tonight, tuning back in for SCSR 60. So with that, thank you all. We'll be back here tomorrow breaking down what goes on between the Steelers and Panthers. I'm sure we'll have lots of reactions to talk about then and anything else that happens in the Pittsburgh sports world. See you back here tomorrow with all that. Have a good rest of your Thursday night. Here we go, Steelers. Peace out.